abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde tu voz encuentra un eco amplificado, donde tus derechos salen a la luz y disipan el miedo, donde tus aportes a la sociedad se evidencian, donde se reconoce que tus luchas reivindican derechos para todas y todos. Radio Jornalera destaca a la gente humilde que pelea por sus derechos a pesar de sus circunstancias de despojo y marginación. Eleva a los individuos y sus luchas y muestra cómo la clase trabajadora y humilde puede ser agente de cambio cuando se organiza, cuando se defiende y cuando tiene una lectura correcta de su propia realidad. Radio Jornalera provee el espacio para aprender de los invitados e invitadas sobre sus vidas, lo que les motiva a seguir adelante, sus virtudes y desafíos y hasta su música y poesía favorita. Radio Jornalera recalca el trabajo de activistas, organizadores, educadores y algunas celebridades, sus causas, sus campañas, sus estrategias, sus tácticas y los reveses más duros en el perenne quehacer de formar líderes para hacer el mundo más justo, más humano, más inclusivo. Para cambiar el mundo, primero hay que conocer a las personas que sobreviven las injusticias y políticas públicas groseras. Hay que apoyar y solidarizarse con sus luchas, porque desde abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde los anhelos y el sentir del pueblo trabajador cobran vida.
Everyone, I'm Jamie Gomez Castillo, and I'm here with
Victoria Masteller.
And you are listening to New Brunswick Speaks, powered by the New Brunswick Documenters, which is also powered by Collab Arts.
A lot of powered by. Guess what? We're also powered by John Keller. John Keller, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited because we're going to be talking to the one and only amazing Toni Hendrix.
Yes, I love Toni Hendrix.
And we know that you have a long-standing collaboration and working relationship with her. And so we wanted to know, as someone who knows her different facets, if you could tell us some questions you think we should ask.
You know, it's so funny that you phrase it that way, because you say long relationship or long working relationship. I don't know that we have worked together that long.
Yeah.
But Toni Hendrix is one of those kinds of people and personalities where when she decides that you are like a worthwhile community partner and collaborator, she kind of like pulls you in and holds you close, and then you get to know her real fast. So she's one of those kinds of like personalities. So she's been an amazing person to get to know, both in the on the ground community work and also as a personal individual. So I think it's going to be a great conversation.
Amazing. What questions do you have that we could relay to Toni then?
I don't think I've ever heard a boring story from Toni. So I think if you just ask her to start at the very beginning and like lead you through, it's going to be a good time. I think I would be interested. Toni's also one of those kinds of people that has lived like 12 different lives. So like getting an understanding of maybe what her origin story is and like what are some of the maybe like earlier life influences that kind of set her on this track, because it's a specific kind of track, like someone who put so much of their time and energy and effort into community organizing. That's not an easy thing to decide to do. So I'm kind of curious, like what got her into that space. And then I think similar to that, she wears like 12 different hats.
Yeah.
She's had 12 different lives and she currently wears 12 different hats.
Yeah.
So she works for multiple different organizations. So maybe through this episode, you two can try to sort out all of the 12 different things that she does. Because she's one of those people where you talk to her and she goes, oh yeah, well, I also do. You know, how did, you know, she's that kind of person.
What a incredible mammoth of a task.
Yeah.
We will try our best.
We will try our best.
Yeah. But we only have 45 minutes with her, so we'll see.
Well, then maybe it has to be a double episode. You'll have to bring her back later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be back and we'll be talking to Toni.
See you then. Today we have the honor of having a wonderful guest with us. We have Toni Hendrix, who's the second vice president of the New Brunswick chapter of the NAACP. chair of their civic and community engagement, and the NAACP New Jersey State Conference Political Action Chairperson. She is a woman of many, many talents, okay?
Yeah.
And we're so happy
Many
that
titles.
and many titles too. Thank you for being here, Toni.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure to be invited. Thank you.
We're really happy to have you,
Yeah.
and we're happy to dive in. When we were looking at your history, we had our wonderful intern Emily, who helped us really dive into all of the things that you've done.
It's kind of scary. Kind of scary. All of the things I've done,
No, not the skeletons, not the
the
skeletons.
ones that are public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good.
We will say, though, that Emily left with all of that research being a major fangirl. So
Absolutely.
we hope you get to meet her at some point.
I hope to. I really do.
And so we wanted to start by looking back first at your childhood. You know, we'd love to hear a little bit about your childhood and what were you like as a kid? Were you always interested in activism and civic engagement?
Did you like Play-Doh?
Yes. No.
Yeah.
Did I get that in the correct order? Play-Doh, no. So I think I don't want to go all the way back. So I think I'll go to the point that is most relevant to what we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
And I want to describe the era for a moment so that you get kind of like a background picture of how I'm going to respond.
Mhm.
So I was born in the early 50s, so I was coming of age in the 60s. When you look at historically what happened during the 60s, it was arguably one of the most dramatic decades in the history of this country.
Mhm.
Even though what we're going through now feels like it is, when we go back and look at the 60s, I think history will bear out what I'm going to say. So I grew up in New York, and I was right dead in the middle of the civil rights movement. I went to a completely segregated school in New York. People really don't realize that it was segregated, but it was reverse segregation.
Mm.
I went to an all-white school. And I attended, though, in a way that they didn't realize that I was Black. They never asked. They just assumed that I wasn't because of my appearance, whatever they thought my appearance was. So I wound up being in a school where I literally was the only Black child. Now that helped to frame a lot of who I am. But one of the most remarkable moments for me, which really led to me continuing my work in political action and civic engagement, was the day I found out that there were other Black students in the school. So we were walking through the school. So picture this: I'm in primary school, and we're walking down the hall. And the way they do it, your classroom lines up, and you walk down single file one side of the hallway. So we're walking along, and in the distance, I see another class, small class, but another class walking towards us. And something struck me as being very odd. And then as they got closer, I realized they were Black. And I looked at them, and they looked at me, and it was one of these the whole time. It was a moment, because I didn't know they were there. They were in the sub-basement of the school in what was called the dungeon classes. And normally they were not in the hallways when us kids were in the hallway. But something happened in the timing where they were in the hallway the same time that I was. And that struck me. That was, it was very important in framing who I am, because I knew I was them, but everybody who I was in class with didn't know it. But we knew it. So we watched each other. I'm staring at them and they're staring back at me. And people were probably like, the teachers were probably like, what's going on here? But never spoke about it, never saw them again the entire time I was in the school. So that was my segregated school experience here in the great state of New York. And people don't think about those things, but that exists. And that was in the 50s. Well before the civil rights era had taken into effect. So that was my early introduction into the confusion of my early childhood knowing who I was, being proud of who I was, but not really understanding why there were these separations and where were these kids now? And how come I didn't know they were there, and how can I connect with them, and how can I ever see them again? Now, chances are they probably didn't want to see me again because they probably thought, there's a term in our community, and I won't talk about it, but they probably thought that I was trying to pass. So that was an early emotional moment for me.
Yeah.
Still feel it. Yeah.
And it feels like, Toni, that maybe that was one of the moments that later on, as you reflected, kind of sparked that activism, because you knew that, if students are in a sub-basement, that's horrible, right?
And they called it the dungeon.
Yeah.
That literally said, oh, those was the whispers then.
Yeah.
Those are the dungeon kids.
Yeah.
And it was, this is New York. And to realize that they were regulated, to the dungeon in that environment, and I wasn't. It was, I had to learn how to navigate life early, if you will. Because do you remember what it was like to be in elementary school?
Unfortunately, yes.
There you go. So imagine having to navigate that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd rather have been in an environment where it was in my face than not knowing that it was there the whole time and not being acknowledged.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to fast forward? I'll fast forward.
So I'm curious about after the experience of being in the segregated school, how did that, what was that next step, right? That then continued your path towards civic engagement and activism and led you here?
Yeah, it was the Vietnam War. Okay, so I grew up with the Vietnam War being as important to who I was as a young activist as the civil rights movement, because they were intertwined. And many people today don't realize how intertwined they were. As a matter of fact, Martin Luther King was just as vocal about ending the Vietnam War as he was about the rest of the civil rights movement. But the reason for that being intertwined and why it was so painful to me is because there was this thing called the draft. And the draft meant that if you were an able-bodied young man at the age of 18, you were registered. And that meant once your number was there, they were calling you to go to war. And my 18-year-old half-brother, who had been in high school and never been outside of the home at any period of time, turned 18, graduated from high school, got his magic number, 8 weeks of basic, 5 weeks of advanced infantry training, and there he was in Vietnam on the front line. And as well as other members of families that were very close to me. And that was very part of my life, because it turns out we didn't know about a law that said if the male child is the head of household, that they didn't have to be shipped overseas. So that's how I really became politically active, is because Robert Kennedy was the senator from New York at the time. And I wrote to him and laid it out and said, here's the situation. Can you bring my brother home? And then got my clipboard and my pen and went knocking on doors to get people to sign the petition to support it. So the Vietnam War was very much a part of that whole aspect of the turmoil that I, grew up in during that period of time. And it meant as much to me because many of the young folks, the young men that were mostly affected, were Black or young men of color. Because if you had the means, your parents could send you to college and you were protected. If you didn't go to college, they'd ship you to Canada and protect you. Or they would get a doctor to write a note about flat feet or something along those lines and protect you. So the profile of the military during that period of time is very different than the profile you see now. When you turn on the TV now and it's a volunteer army, you'll see a lot of kids from the Midwest that have joined the military because in the Midwest, there weren't enough jobs for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you do see a lot of white young men in the military today. Totally opposite back then during Vietnam. So the majority of the young men who were being killed or maimed or whatever the case might be were young men of color. Never left the house, didn't know anything about life.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, that they're giving their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was an important aspect of that period of time that I'm not sure is talked about enough. There was what happened at Kent State, where the young men in the National Guard were forced to fire upon the college students. Can you imagine that?
No.
I mean, how awful can that be?
Right.
To open fire on someone who's your age in your own country on a college campus because they're protesting the war. Imagine that happening today. All right, so we should be thinking about the fact that nothing is new to me.
So what was the result of your petition?
He got home, but he didn't come home safely. Yes, so he was sent on advanced patrol, which means he was out there on his own, and he did get shot, and he wasn't killed, but they did send him home because of that. And the other thing that happened is that, I'm just going to be honest. Instead of painkillers, they gave him narcotics. So he did not come back a full man. So his life was not long. It was very challenging when he was with us.
Yeah.
And that is the story of, I live in my community now. I live in a active adult community, so you have to be 55 plus to live there. And numerous of the men that live there are Vietnam veterans. So we have our moments where we acknowledge that period of time. And so, it did help frame who I was very much, because that activism of saying, found out about this law, no one communicated to us this law, and then we were taken advantage of, where my brother was put in the jeopardy he was put in. So what do I do about it? What can I do about it? Well, the only thing I can do about it is try to lift my voice and make my voice known. At the same time now, the civil rights movement was going on, and Wayne Buffalo, one of my friends, was murdered during that period of time, during a so-called race riot, if you will, and other people that I knew. So I'm out there demonstrating for that also.
How old are you at that point, or general?
I'm in my teens.
Okay, you're in
I'm
teens.
in my teens.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me that I should be doing something more than that, meaning there are men in office that are making these rules. We put them in office. Now, back then, the voting age was not 18, by the way, it was 21. It was changed because of the Vietnam War. It was changed 67, 68, somewhere around there. Can't remember the exact year. It was raised, it was lowered to 18. But anyhow, so it occurred to me when I wrote to Robert Kennedy, I said, well, maybe I should be looking locally and seeing who agrees with me. So I started to work on political campaigns. And that was phone banking. Very early age, it was an early age because I was in my teens, getting on the phone and encouraging people to vote for my candidate. Clipboard again out into the community, because there was a person who wanted to be a delegate at the Democratic National Convention was being held in New York. And she said, Toni, can you help me? I need to get, I forget how many thousands of names for her to qualify to be a delegate. I said, I'm on it. So clipboard with the list of your registered Democrat. Now, I'm not saying anything about, which party I'm in favor. That's who she was. I have to do that, by the way, in my official role.
Gotcha.
And so, again, knocking on the doors because she was going to vote. A delegate means you're going to vote on these candidates that are running for office. So you are as important as the candidates at that convention. And those are all the things that I just started doing. We didn't think about. I don't think I was that different for that time period. I think there were a lot of us. Some of us did the political aspect, others did the constantly in the street part of it. Some of us, did whatever the art, vocal singing.
Yeah.
Others sat in at their universities and did their demonstrations there. I was not unusual for that time period.
Right.
This was something that we felt very strongly about and that we engaged in. Maybe the politics part really kind of talked to me.
Yeah.
Where some of my other friends were like, well, why are you? And I was like, I don't know.
You have all of these profound experiences at a young age, given your situation, experiencing what you experienced in school and then experiencing what happened to your brother. In your early 20s, what work do you continue following? And then also, how does that lead you to Hub City?
So in my early 20s, I did something interesting. I started to do community work. And I was part of, at the time I was working for New York Telephone, and they had this organization, they may still have it, called the Pioneers. And the Pioneers did community-based work. So I got involved in community-based work, and that was interesting because I got involved in many different things. To give you for instance, you've heard of the Muscular Dystrophy Organization. And do you know about the telethons, Jerry Lewis telethons?
I know telethons because of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but that is
So these telethons were like marathons. They were on, I think, like 3 days, day and night.
Yeah.
And Jerry Lewis was like up the entire time, right? And people would call in and donate money to muscular dystrophy for that work. Well, I started out on the phones because by then, they said, oh, that kid, she can handle herself on the phones. I went from the phones to the calculation, which was the cards came in with the pledges. You're going to really laugh about that. You punch these keys with the numbers in and you go ka-ching. And then you put the next one in and ka-ching. And then there's this long line of paper that would come out with all the numbers on it. And that would be the tally. So when they would do the tally, they say, let's go to the tally board. Where I was working, I had to be ready with our numbers. They come and say, Toni, what's the number? I had to give them the number, and it was on the tally board. But then I was recruited to go to the New York location. That was the primary location, and to run the volunteer organizations at that. That was a lot of work. But that was I enjoyed it. So you did the mailing, you did the phones, you did the food, because you had the celebrities came in, and we'd say, okay, come on, let's come in, because they wanted to be on camera with us. Everybody will smile for the camera. And then I started doing events for muscular dystrophy. So things like, I did the very first marathon in White Plains, New York. We did the very first one. We did bike-a-thons. We did softball tournaments. Then when I wasn't doing that, I dressed up as Cookie Monster.
No way.
Now that was dangerous for me.
Because of the cookies?
Plus I'm 5'2", and the kids were as tall as me.
Oh, yeah.
Guess where your eyes are in that costume? Guess where they are? In the mouth. So they try to put the cookies in the mouth, and they were banging me in my eyes.
Oh no.
So that was one of my more dangerous community activities. So
I love, you're like, I do all this advocacy, but the most complicated and
most
dangerous
dangerous
one
was the comes to the eye.
Yeah.
I mean, you would go to a kid's school, and these were kids that were not as privileged as others, and they wanted to feed the Cookie Monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as two fellow 5'2"ers, I understand.
You understand completely,
I understand.
right?
Absolutely.
Right in the mouth. That's where my eyes were.
Yes.
Yes.
I was a middle school teacher for a couple years, and everyone was taller than me. And it was like, not a good role for me.
Not a good role.
To be a little bit taller than everyone.
Like, they come back from summer break, fourth grade, fifth grade. Suddenly, you're looking at shins now.
Yeah, trying to know if everyone's in line. I'm like, I can't. Everyone's taller than me. But
there's this need in the community, and this is, I've always been framed by that. Is that there are so many people in the community for whatever reason, because there's a multitude of reasons you could be underserved, that are underserved. And I didn't like that because I came from that community. And I always wanted to make people in those communities feel valued and feel like somebody understood.
Of course.
And I'm going to be there. I don't know why people have asked me that. They asked me then, they asked me now. I have no idea, except it drove me. So that started my journey, which never stopped. Never stopped.
And you followed that calling all the way to Hub City.
I did, but there were a lot of...
I'm sure, yeah.
There was this whole corporate career that took me even living overseas, and which was valuable to the work I do because I wasn't there as a tourist. And they didn't send me to, the glamorous places. I specialized in turnaround startup businesses. So I spent a lot of time in countries that were called developing countries. I don't like that term, third world. That is so inappropriate. Is there a first and second world? Where are they? This is all one world. Okay. But they were developing and growing. And so as a result, those were the countries they sent me to, which again went into who I am as a person, because I went on my own. I had to figure it out.
What's something that you learned while you were in the different developing countries that you didn't learn about yourself when you were living in New York?
I had no fear. People say, but you lived in New York. You should have known that. It's, no, when you live in New York, you don't have that fear thing going on all the time. That's outsiders looking at New York. But when you're in a country where the people who are your foundation are a whole day and time zone difference away from you, you are on your own.
Yeah.
And then you don't speak the language, you are on your own. So I started realizing that if you have fear is very paralyzing, and fear can prevent you from doing things, and it stands in your way. And I think that was one of the most important things that I learned about myself, is that I pretty much did things that, looking back on, they were pretty daggone dangerous. Really very dangerous. And it didn't even, give it a second thought.
I feel like I felt like we did such a good job researching you, and that Emily did and we did, but there's so much to know.
You lived quite the life.
Well, there are other, things that didn't necessarily come out in the research that you're getting out of me very, very, very nicely. But the other thing that it reinforced in me, growing up in New York was always multicultural.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, our view of multicultural in my day was very different. Okay. So Hispanic people were Puerto Ricans. You didn't call people Hispanic or Latino because they were all Puerto Ricans. So as we had more nations coming into our country, that's when I had to make sure that I learned these are different people. They're from different countries. They have different cultures, different dialects, different everything. Right now, there are some similarities, but they're very different people. We shouldn't lump them together. So that was, so multicultural was West Side Story stuff. Okay. And then there was the start of having Koreans come in. And then I can't articulate in what order we started to see a lot of the different countries where that massive grouping was coming in, but it was still always multicultural. And we were very neighborhoody. So you had your neighborhood, you had your space.
Yeah.
You always knew that there was, a neighborhood away that this is who they were, but you lived by these codes and you learned how to coexist. I have this famous story though about my late husband. He loved to dance, and my husband loved, Alan, I'm talking about you. He loved beautiful Puerto Rican women. Oh my gosh, my husband loved beautiful Puerto Rican women. So he and his buddy they had a singing group, and they would go down into New York. They'd walk from the Bronx into New York to what we call clubs now, to their dance halls. They would dance with the Puerto Rican girls, right? Until the guys were like, okay, that's enough, and literally chase them out. Literally chase them out and chase them down the street because they danced well.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to dance.
Yeah.
Like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, we're not having it.
Yeah.
So you knew my point is, you knew the rules.
Yeah.
And when they chased you out, they just chased you out.
Yeah.
I could picture my husband now running away from the guys. They don't you come back. They probably said it differently. They go back the next week.
Of course.
I would love to know. I think it's interesting because we all have different experiences that open us up to understanding internal biases that we didn't understand that we had. Like, we'll share that, like, I grew up as an adopted person, and there's certain aspects of being adopted that I, like, just other people didn't realize that you have to deal with, because you're like, oh yeah, there's certain aspects of health, there's certain aspects of like what that means for your family, and having these experiences where you grew up with a lot of multicultural experiences, but then also went internationally and really understood what does it feel like to not know the language? What does it feel like to really have to be on your own? How has that informed you as a community leader working in, like, New Brunswick is a very diverse community, but it is also very much so. I think we did the research now is the percentages of Hispanic versus Black versus white. How does that inform your work in NAACP? If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
So what is happening in a city like New Brunswick is historical in terms of how cities and communities evolve. And the evolution quite frequently is called climbing the ladder. And in this country, we have the history of slavery. We have the history of Black people like myself not being considered citizens and human beings and things of that nature. But once we were within society, we were considered the lowest rung on the ladder, which means our communities were the poorest communities in terms of the jobs availability, in terms of housing, in terms of, access to supermarkets, healthcare, and things of that nature. We literally lived in houses that were run down and maintained by landlords who were only looking at the bottom line. As new immigrants came into the area, into the country, into places like here in Hub City, that many of the people were not of the economic status to be able to immediately move into purchasing their own home. Nor did they necessarily come in with the background where they could get a paying job that could put them into a rental location that was at certain rent levels. The other thing was the communication issue. The other thing was just the culture of who we are and that need. I mentioned to you when I grew up, we had communities. Communities have always formed around culture and around people who share that culture. So that's what's been happening here in New Brunswick. So if you look at French Street, I don't know when you ladies came to Hub City, but French Street was Black.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the Black business community. Much of French Street now is part of Robert Wood Johnson. So it actually stretched closer to the train station. Where now all of that development with the with the hospitals, there were beauty parlors, there was Gladys's Hat Emporium, where the ladies would go and get their beautiful hats for Sunday services.
Yeah.
And above those businesses, they were rentals that Black people lived in. So there was, in addition to other parts of New Brunswick, but everyone's familiar with the French Street area. And that's the one that has seen really significant changes in terms of the representation in that. There are still some Black families there, but very few. So the people coming from the different countries, because I recognize now, very, very understanding that you have to ask where you're from, what country are you from, to know where they're from. They came into that community because they could afford to. They could take over those small businesses and they could turn them into the types of businesses that service their culture, so that the type of food, anything at all related to their culture was now convenient for them, and it was walkable, which is another important ingredient for people with lower incomes. And the train station was right there. Now, that Black community was either completely displaced or moved out of the New Brunswick area. But there was also a subset of individuals called the middle class of Blacks that moved into Franklin, which is right over the, 1 minute you're in New Brunswick, you're in Franklin. So you start to see all those homes, and Hamilton Street got developed now as Black businesses, although now it's multicultural. Also, Hamilton Street has become very multicultural. There's African stores, there's all kinds of stores now there. So that is kind of like a natural evolution when you consider coming in with the lower economic status and wanting to develop a feeling of community. That's how these things evolve. And then you have the people within the communities that came from, the Hispanic or Latino countries. And as they grew and they acquire whatever their version is of wealth and education, then they will migrate into other areas. And that's just the way things are. So it's walkable. It's having the ability to have your retail businesses and then have affordable apartments and things of that nature where people can move in and get started. That's the key. And that's the evolution that I watched here. But again, not unique. It's unique to us because we live here. But it is not unique to how communities around, urban communities, I should say, and suburban communities, rural communities, they develop very differently. But communities like this, it's pretty natural. So it'll be very interesting to see what that next group is. As I mentioned to you that we have an influx of Africans that have come into the area, a lot in Franklin, and some which is right over the border. And then some, more in New Brunswick. I don't know. Do you know? No, nobody knows. Right? So who knows? Maybe in 15 years, we'd be having if I'm still here, we'd be having a different conversation about the demographics of the city.
Absolutely. So, seeing and living through all of these different demographic changes in New Brunswick as part of the NAACP and in your role in the NAACP, what does that support look like? Like, how do you
It's challenging.
Yes, of course, like shift as population.
It's challenging.
Change. I'm sure
I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
During the 2020 census, the NAACP represented the census count here in New Brunswick. So we were out during COVID with masks, gloves on, going into the community to encourage Blacks, Hispanic, Latinos to participate in the census. You're familiar with New Brunswick Tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the partnering organizations that we are involved in for that kind of work. And there was this one particular day we went to a park, I'll just say a park, in a community, a small park in a community. And we set up our table on one side of the sidewalk. New Brunswick Tomorrow set up on the other side of the sidewalk. And we were conducting, come on, participate in the census. And there was this point where this gentleman, he was in, I would say, early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
He rides up on the bike. He was black.
Mhm.
He rides up on the bicycle and he stops and says, "What are you people doing here?" And so now, remember I said fear was one of the things that I realized I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, "No, we're here to do the census." And he started swearing at the top of his lungs because he saw the NAACP banner.
Yeah.
We're here to help you understand about the census and get you to participate. And he starts swearing, because he looks across at the table of the Spanish people, right? And the community we were in is not quite completely turned over, but it had turned over a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was mad.
Tensions were high.
He was. So now I'm like feeling for these poor young ladies. They're like,
Yeah.
shrinking. And I'm like, so I walked up to him and I'm like, as close to him, we're talking. He said, "Were you guys the other night when we had a shooting?" And I said, "Excuse me, sir, but nobody called and told us it was going to be a shooting."
Yeah.
Boom, his temperature started to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Started to go down. He says, "Well, but, you guys are always out here, blah, 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 da, 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 da." Gotta listen. You have to listen. He started pointing out houses. See that house? You know who lives there now? You know what it used to be? It used to be our mosque. I just kept listening.
Mm-hmm.
He kept going for like 15 minutes. I never left him, eye to eye. At the end, he grabs the thing to sign. "Give that to me," and he fills out the census.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember I explained it was COVID, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, you see that young lady back there? Okay, that's my granddaughter. And she's out here now risking her life and watching her grandmother risk her life for you to participate in the census. He's filling it out. So my grandmother's going, "It's my Nana." So, and then at the end, he grabbed me and hugged me. Well, everybody went, "Oh my God," because he didn't have a mask on or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't. I hugged him back.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in the NAACP. We're not always looked upon in our communities in Hub City as being there. So we have to remind them. We have to listen. We partner with organizations like New Brunswick Tomorrow and Collabs and many, many, many others because we share the same space. We share similar needs, similar stories. We both have cultures that we're trying to fiercely protect.
Yeah.
But we have to realize there are people who lived in this community that feel displaced.
Yeah.
And they also don't feel like leadership is here for them now. So that's it's tense sometimes.
Yeah.
But then we do our joyous community events and they come out and they, ACB! So we don't give up. We do the census work. We do the voting work. We do the we cleaned a street during COVID.
Yeah.
We literally took brooms out
Yeah.
and Cookie was playing, Cookie Rivera from LAN. Yeah, from the Latino Action Network. She's playing. Yeah, he's got her jukebox going and we got blaring and then we got another organization and they're serving hot dogs and everything. People looked at us like we were crazy.
Yeah.
What are these people doing? And we're sleeping in the street and bagging up the garbage.
Yes.
And that's what you do.
Yeah. I want to honor that we only have like 5 more minutes left.
We knew this was had an hour. I know.
Yeah. I was telling my friend that we get to interview today, and I was like, there's just a certain je ne sais quoi about Toni that it's just hard to, like, even from 2 years of knowing you from different places and different moments. And I think it's really, really important that just we quickly touch on Lost Souls.
Oh.
So could you please tell us?
So I have multiple hearts.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one of my hearts. So the Lost Souls Public Memorial Project is focused on the fact that there was a slave ring that was run and conducted in Middlesex County. And it was run by a sitting Middlesex County judge whose brother-in-law, Charles Morgan, ran a big plantation in Louisiana. And real quick history. This was after the transatlantic slave trade was banned. So this was 1808, that time frame. So it was the domestic slave trade that was occurring. So my ancestors literally were brought here through the transatlantic slave trade, but they were on their path to freedom. And then enslaved again through the domestic slave trade, because there was this little purchase made by the United States called the Louisiana Purchase from the French, which doubled the size of the United States. And most of it, with the exception of our indigenous brothers and sisters being there, was underdeveloped. So the plantation owners in Louisiana, in that part of the country, they're like, yeah, we know slavery is like not supposed to happen yet, but we're going to make it happen. So he came up and purchased. We formally have found and take ownership of properly documenting 165 people. We know very little about them because they were considered chattel. So they were registered just like you would register a cow or, a glass coffee table in your will and whatnot. So we are desperately trying to continue the research in these individuals. At the same time, educate the public. It's really interesting because people don't really realize how deeply invested New Jersey was in the slave industry. And it really was deeply invested in it. So it's that education part. They want to learn, by the way. And it's not unusual for us to give a presentation and everyone in the room for that presentation is white. They want to learn. They want to know more and more and more and more and more. And then the third part of our mission is to build a public memorial garden to those individuals who will, I don't think in my lifetime we'll find them and their ancestors. There's one person we now believe that we have found and tracked through a relative. I don't want to disclose it yet because we haven't finished the work, but it's going to be very tedious and to even be able to connect them to their families now. So that's the disconnect that Black people we have in our relationship with this country. You talked about being adoptive. Can you imagine not knowing your nuclear family and then coming from a group of people that look like me, which means, who am I? Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So that the Lost Souls project is one that I'm very passionate about. I currently am the president of the board, which makes me the CEO of the organization, and that just means I get to do all the hard work. But we have a wonderful board, multicultural board, and our historian is fabulous, Crystal Langford. Shout out to Crystal. Yes, Crystal, and she is real close to her doctorate. And it's in the area of teaching educators how to teach Black history to students, because it's you have to really know that there's very little information out there in the education tools for them. So it's not a matter of they don't want to do it. And then how do you teach it? I mean, how do you approach a person like myself on a topic like that and not get it wrong? From either your perspective or my perspective. So that's the Lost Souls and our work with collabs. Yeah, with John Keller. Awesome. And I'm so looking forward to seeing the production of the fabulous Jasmine Carmichael is putting together a production. I cannot wait. That woman is fabulous. That woman is
she is
absolutely fabulous. So I'm really looking forward to it. They won't let me peek at it. So, but that's okay. That's all right. I want to sit in the room and just be blown away as everything that we've done with John, whether it's through Rutgers collabs, everything that we've done with them it just blows me away. So we're grateful for that opportunity and to bring that to the public. It's coming up on August the 1st.
Yes, it is.
Watch out for it.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yes.
So excited for it.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been
absolute pleasure, Toni.
Yeah.
We feel so grateful, so lucky to know you. And I feel like you were saying before, Victoria, we did all of this research and we feel like we know so much, but your life is so rich, and there's
We
so much.
didn't
There's
we
so much we
even
didn't
touch
cover.
on the work I do with children in foster care.
Yes, which
Which
so
means there has to
I
be a part
said
of
that-
it.
coming back.
I
Yeah.
said I
Yeah.
know more than you think I know.
I mean, I know that you know so much. I don't
No,
doubt.
what I mean is
Oh.
I've been working in the
Yeah.
capacity with foster children
Yeah,
for the last 6 years.
yeah,
We learned with Tessa, right?
With us.
yeah.
So we have to bring you back.
It's
We're bringing it
important. It's
back. We have to bring it
important work.
Yeah.
But anyhow, what a pleasure. You young ladies, I always love working with you, seeing you. You bring such energy and beauty to the conversation. Thank you so
Eleni.
much.
We will be definitely talking more down the line, and we hope that everyone joins us August 1st at Collab Arts for the Lost Souls Memorial Project's presentation of Ashe, Ashe, Ashe by Jasmine Carmichael.
Did she just reveal something I wasn't supposed to know?
It's okay. It's literally going. You'll see.
I will not tell Jasmine because she will hurt me.
Oh, I know.
Say that. No.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. But we'll see you at the production and all of the different collaborations that are going to be happening in the city with NAACP and Collab Arts and all of the different wonderful things that Toni supports and leads. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. See you then.
Thanks
See
so
you
much for
around.
joining us.
Audio Jungle.